It's been incredible. I'm very thankful to have Vicky and Dacre, especially Vicky, who's been here quite a few times. Yeah, I mean, I made my first film 4 years ago for like $35,000. It was a very small indie student feature film that played at Toronto Next Wave, the smaller festival. So it's quite amazing to, within the next film, be here and yeah, having us as our world premiere. The crowd was really warm, and I think it was actually quite a like a raw and fragile screening. It felt very palpable, the feeling of the film. I think even before the film started screening, we had a beautiful introduction from the programmer that I think set the tone. After we screened, Vicky did a performance, and I think there was an energy in the theatre that felt fragile in the way that the film feels fragile. I was in post-production for my first feature, and I found myself obsessed with an image, and it was a really cold, blank, modern room, a coffin in the center, and a woman on one side, a man on the other side, both of them equally grieving for the person in the coffin, but having no understanding or connection to each other, no knowledge of each other, but the same pain and the same sense of loss. And that was the diving off point. And from there, I just found myself constantly coming back to the nursery rhyme, Jack and Jill. And I just kept imagining them going up the hill to this place where this coffin is and seeking something in a place where it shouldn't be. And it took me a while to unpack what was happening in my head with that. But it was this idea that a nursery rhyme is something that is passed from the maternal, so from the mother to the son, from generation to generation. And of course, as we see in the film, likewise, trauma and cycles of abuse are passed from one generation to another within a family. And you certainly see that unpack between especially the female characters in our film. This sense of being haunted by either the mistakes of our parents or the ghosts of our past.
I received the script when I was grieving myself for someone I lost, and it was very hard on me, and I felt like I didn't know how to pierce that. It was like a lid had fallen onto me. And I got the script, and, of course, just the idea of playing three people as two people playing three was already intriguing. But when I read it and I understood that it was about how to, sometimes kill those ghosts that take control of us. And my ghost was a friendly ghost, which I haven't killed, and is now, a dark cloud has become a light. Now it's a light that is with me. But I think that making the film helped me for this, and I think so. I didn't really feel like I needed to prepare Jill because I knew it would be personal, and I just tried to, approach that as honest as I can. And then I had Dacre, and I think it's very difficult to talk about this performance because it's a shared performance. I really feel that we created a lot of this together, even not consciously. It was not, okay, so now let's create this Elizabeth character. What is a ghost? How do we didn't talk much. It was what you want from an actor. I think this is what actors live for, is the moment where you don't talk and you become together this space in which the story can suddenly come alive for the audience. And I think that's very much what we both did. We just held that space for the audience and for the ghosts to come and come alive.
I think we're still finishing up that experience. I mean, even talking about it today, it's obviously been a moving process. To talk to the alchemy, one thing we've been talking about in the last couple of days is, so we both play Elizabeth. I play Jack, she plays Jill, for those who haven't watched. And playing Elizabeth, we actually arrived on set or in pre-production to both discover that we each separately work with scent. So we create colognes, perfumes for our characters. We choose something because it's so different in a sensory capacity to be an actor on set than you at home watching the audio-visual kind of component to it. So I had brought a cologne for Jack, and Vicky had done the same for Jill, but she'd also brought a perfume for Elizabeth. And I think that was probably the easiest way to meet in the middle, because one of us, whenever we were playing Jack Jill/Elizabeth or Jill/Elizabeth would be wearing the scent. So you could smell her on set, and it's a different smell, and it's something incredibly intoxicating that I think is amazing. And in a sensory capacity, I won't ever forget that smell. You know, you could blindfold me in a room and I can be there with Vicky as one of her two characters at any point for the rest of my life. You know, you could spray that in the air and I know exactly that moment. It's bottled completely. And I think that has been one of the most impactful components of the shoot, other than obviously working on such an amazing story. But to answer that question, I think that was the easiest way to meet in the middle together, because Elizabeth, I don't think, is like a caricature-esque, performance of a ghost of a person. There's no makeup, hair, costume component. It just is what it is, and the essence for us was very heavily laid into the smell, and separating that, using that perfume.
I definitely felt this on set, both with Vicky and Dacre as themselves, as actors, but also as their characters. But the two of them become a reflection for one another. And these are two people who, in my opinion, and as in the writing and directing, is two people who for quite a time have been terrified to look at their own reflection, or have been shying away from having to confront their own reflection. And it's only in Jill seeing Jack, Jack seeing Jill, seeing the bruises on each other's bodies, seeing the physical toll of what's happening, just seeing each other's eyes, the pain. It's like looking in a mirror. But with that opens the door to confronting your reflection and then healing together.
It's incredibly painful to watch. Like, I felt like last night was really, I think there's hopefully healing there, but it's incredibly painful to watch. And I know that I'm close to material, as these two are, but even hearing you talk about it, it's just feels very raw and real. And I don't just mean that in an acting sense or we did whatever. It just is real. And I think revealing yourself in a private way on camera, it just captures something of your soul. And I think working with Vicky, it was immediately, obviously, she was brave enough to go, well, here's my soul. And I think that's an incredibly terrifying thing to do, because it opens you up in a way that you don't usually give yourself to people in public. You know what I mean? We all give a slice of ourselves to people. Yeah. But to give the whole of your soul to something is incredibly complicated.
Yeah, I often feel that actors are maybe something like shamans, or that we do that for the group. Someone has to do it, you know. We cannot all just quit our job and walk out the door and have a breakdown, or like, you know, here I am. Because the world we live in wouldn't work. You know, we all have to function. We have to be a mother and a wife and a husband and do our job. So actors carry the very difficult role as well, to do that, you know, ritual in a way for everyone. And when I saw the film yesterday, I have felt for the first time, you know, when she screams and she says, but he's your son. What you say, that she realizes what this woman had done to her child, makes her realize what this woman had done to her. Yeah. And maybe that's what it could give to the audience, or it gave to me, is the courage of, okay, maybe sometimes you have to kill that ghost inside of you. It's not as easy as putting it aside, or, well, it's fine, I'll just, you know, do that later. Or it's not a nice thing to do. It's difficult, it's painful, dangerous sometimes. But if we want to become a free, independent person, we have to go through that fire, I think. And I think that's what it gave me, you know, the courage to do that.